Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
I was going to start today with just a kind of a sad song, but I'm not going to now. I've kind of forgotten what sad song I was going to sing.
What? I'd love a song.
Well, no, we shouldn't sing a sad song. We should sing a happy song.
Not a sad song, okay.
Maybe a summer song or something like. Have you a summer song? A nice.
Are you getting summer vibes? Like, is the sun coming out at all?
Yeah, I'm starting to get that, and I'm starting to kind of plug that into the kind of the mire that was the last Saturday. So I'm just trying to plug it in with. I was listening to the Clancy brothers today. They were very, very upbeat about the summer, with some of their songs.
Good. I was actually listening to John Gibbons, and I was feeling good about the summer.
No,
I was. Do you know why? I was looking at like what DJs are coming up in Ibiza.
Yeah.
And I just kind of was getting in the mood of like summer techno. So yeah.
That's You'd be a bit younger than me, you see. That's the way you'd go, you know. I'd go Clancy brothers, you'd go.
Oh no. I'd time and place.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Hey, welcome everybody to episode 2, season 2.
Oh Jesus, there you are, lad. Sorry about that. We forgot we let you in.
I know. Banana and Bear Rugby Podcast, where we cover everything not quite everything to do with the Six Nations. We adjacently kind of open the door to the Six Nations, stick our noses in, and turn around and tell you what we saw.
That's about it, yeah.
And now we are on to the TikTok Women's Six Nations. I ran into two people that knew you adjacent to your sister. Remember I was telling you I was teaching an acting thing in Rathcormac?
Yes!
They got very excited because they Googled us both and discovered that we have a podcast. So both the women were very excited because as they said themselves, we don't know shite about rugby, but it wouldn't do any harm to know a bit about it. So I was like, great, you've come to the right place.
Very good.
So we seem to be catching the people on the first rung of the ladder, at the very least.
Yes. I told my sister as well that you were teaching down in Rathcormac, and she was equally as like, what? Because it's such an obscure little place for people to kind of...
Phenomenal community, though. Phenomenal community. I was there last night. When I do these things, they're over a 4-week period, and they never all turn up every night. Last night, everybody was there. And staying backwards with the notes I gave them and everything. I was like, okay, you're really, really into this. Like,
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and two of the women in it are colleagues of your sister.
Brilliant. I'm sad as Carol about that now.
Pity we didn't get Carol. Pity we didn't snag Carol. That would have been good crack.
Yeah.
Me teaching your sister acting.
So there'll be a few Oscars on their way down to Rathcormac in a few years.
Do you know what? There's some raw fair talent there.
Oh.
Yeah. Raw fair talent. I'd be very surprised if they don't start an Amdram Society after it. It's yeah. There's
fair play to people of Rathcormac.
Yeah, fair play to them. Tip of the cap to the people of Rathcormac. Nice little place, nicest little part of the world in North Cork. They have a nice accent. I like their accent. It's mild on the ear.
I did my TY work experience there.
Did you?
I did.
in the big new school or the little school?
No, there was the old school.
Yeah, that's where I'm doing oh my God. Talk about like sliding doors and mirrors and butterfly effect.
My TY work experience was quite a while ago.
Well, butterfly effect as it may or may not be, I don't know fully what that is. But isn't it? No, there's a word and I've lost it again. I almost had it. Serendipity. That's, by Jesus Christ, we're in tune. Isn't that serendipitous that I'm now teaching technically in the same classrooms you were teaching in when you were in TY?
There you go.
Jesus Christ almighty. How was your weekend? How's the foot? How's the everything?
The foot is getting there. I went back to the doctor this morning. Luckily, it's Easter week, so we actually don't have any training this week. So I have afforded another week of rest for the foot because... I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes next week now. And next week is kind of when I can run and test it. So whether I make it back for the last game season or not remains to be seen. But
when is that? Sorry, just
16th of April is our last game, and we have to win with a bonus point, and we're relying on another team to lose without a bonus point. So it's But this league is gas. I know I probably chatted about it before, but like this league is like, we lost to like bottom of the table, and then we beat bottom of the table, we beat top of the table, and then everyone in between. Like there's no there's no guarantees of any kind of result. So we very much could make the semi-finals. So let's see what happens.
I kind of love that kind of wild card kind of, maverick kind of way about it. Like, because often the season will be done and dusted. You're like, actually, we're just playing dead rubbers now for the rest of it, lads.
Yeah, and maybe that's happening with a few teams kind of at the top. But Jesus, Spanish rugby like is gas, because they were disqualified from the World Cup for making errors with players who were registered for Spain and who hadn't stayed enough days in Spain essentially to be a Spanish player, blah, blah, things like that. So they were sanctioned and they were disqualified for the World Cup. But the same thing happened in our league, where a team was sanctioned because they said that a girl was like available to play for Spain when she wasn't, or something crazy like that. So a lot of kind of fluffing around the rules there. So, but they're on it. The union seem to be on it. Like, so.
How long would you have to play in Spain for Ana Caplice to be talking out for El Spanish? It's the Spanish.
Now, you can only avail of the change country rule if you have a parent or grandparent from.
Oh, is that it? I thought it was like a 3-year cooling off period.
Residency only counts, which is now 5 years. Residency only counts if you haven't been previously capped.
Bells. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I went to see, so they had a Four Nations tournament here in Spain. So I went down to Madrid to see them play, and I had a feckin' grey weekend. So USA played Canada and South Africa played Spain. And it was lovely, like out in the sunshine, like everyone's sitting around, like drinking beer and Tinto de Verano, and like
I don't know what that is. What's that now?
It's actually it's red wine and Fanta lemon.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Fanta lemon and red. I think that would be a drink that I could drink, because when it comes to red wine, I guzzle it like a fellow who's sucking pints.
Oh, it's lovely, like with a big cube of ice and a little like squeeze of lemon in it as well if you want, but it's lovely.
What has become of Lilt is the question, I think, on everybody's lips.
I don't know. Someone was tweeting about Lilt recently, actually, but is it not still on the shelves?
No, it certainly is not, because I had a hankering a couple of weeks ago, and I went to a shop that I know would definitely had it, and like they've shit like Britpick 55. You know what I mean? Like they have Pellegrino fucking. And I went in and I went, "Hey, where's the crack? Are y'all out at Lilt?" He goes, "Man, I hate to tell you, they've discontinued Lilt." I mean, you're fucking with me. I swear to God, we can't get Lilt for love nor Lilt. We can't get Lilt.
It's funny though. I feel like we didn't appreciate it enough when we had it around. This
is what do you know what? That's a metaphor for life, people. If anything, like think back to the 2014-15 times when the women's rugby team were getting seriously good attention. We didn't appreciate it when we had it, just like Lilt. We just let it slip through our fingers.
And Fat Frogs, the ice pop.
By Jesus Christ! Now I did have a Tangle Twister the other day, and it did bring me back to about age 14.
Geez, I love a Twister. The ice cream running through it is to die for. It's like the ice cream in the middle of a super split. Do we still have super splits?
I think we do. We've something along we've something along the lines. It's probably, El Supero Splito. It's something not. I don't think it's the real deal. Like, they still have old chalk ices. It's getting more and more meager with the chocolate in the middle.
Chalk ice. Do you know I wouldn't be heartbroken about taking off the market is a chalk ice. I'm sorry.
It's always been a bit of a poor brother of like a Magnum and stuff like that, isn't it? Like it's.
Yes, I would say about Fat Frogs though, I feel like we did appreciate them and they were taken off the market anyway.
They probably got more hype than they deserved in a lot of ways when you think of all they were was a frosty bit of green liquid in the shape of a frog. The ad was they actually had a drink in nightclubs named after it. You know,
Oh,
with
sure,
blue.
I know. That's why I'm saying the ice pop, because I didn't want to confuse Fat Frog with the drink with the ice pop.
Right enough. Now, in all fairness, they still do have like the little, you know, the little cup, which I was surprised this cup is still on the go. You remember the cup with the swirly green and red through it?
A maxi twist.
Maxi
I
twist. That's it.
fucking love a maxi twist.
Still on the go. Still on the go.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
actually looking forward to coming home now. I think I might have to make another trip home soon, but I'm
purely
excited
based ice cream based.
just to get. Well, I wonder now. I haven't had an ice cream here yet. Well, I haven't had an ice cream from the freezer here yet, but I have had a few like gelatos, like from
Our fancy yolks. Yeah.
Jeez, they're very good though. My God. Actually, I'm going to get one this evening. There's an ice cream shop down by the marina, and my God, it
Oh, yeah.
is the bomb. Yeah.
Wow. It's a top two you'd go for. Scoops.
Very interesting question. I'd say now pistache.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say pistache.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with it, like.
Yeah. And then kind of the other one, like kind of depends how I'm feeling, but I love a good like rum and raisin.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't see that now.
What would you go for?
I think second on the list after pistachio would probably be salted caramel. I think. And I'll tell you why. And we were in Milan one time, and it was pure scutter. The food everywhere we went. These top restaurants, and it was pure and utter scutter everywhere we went. But you know what was hilarious? We were in the middle of was it our honeymoon? No, I don't know what. No, it wasn't. But we went, and it was in the middle of Fashion Week, and a fella like me shouldn't be. Well, I should actually. If only vlogging was. If TikTok and vlogging was more of my life back then, I would have blown up, as they say, because the Blagarden that I did around the place, like they had a catwalk outside this big, you know, there's a kind of a central shopping area that's all roofed over, and they had a big catwalk outside, and they had actual models walking this catwalk up and down.
Cool.
But then it was televised inside to the back of the top of the catwalk inside as well. And while there was a break in play, shall we say, there was models walking outside, and then they all just kind of fucked off. And then I thought, yeah, just tell me it's time to shine. Nobody else gave it a go, Anna. Like, how would you, like, you would get, like, it made perfect sense that
Yes.
I was going to tie my shirt around my head and strut my stuff up the 50 feet of catwalk. And nobody tried to tell me to get away. And now, as I was doing my turn and coming back, halfway back, all right, a fella came out of nowhere, and he was fairly annoyed with me. But he let me finish off my walk. Now, I didn't realize at the time that it was being televised to 2,000 people inside as well at the same time.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And they were all like, ooh, this is the new look of the season, like the check shirt and the whatever. You wearing runners or boots? Or I imagine you were wearing boots.
No, I was wearing runners. I was. Actually, no, I was fairly snazzy. That I dressed up fairly snazzy for that trip, just to be the bollocks around the place. But I not even in the realm of snazziness as these people. But we had to run away from the scenario before I got into big trouble, and we were gasping because it was fucking roasting hot, and we came upon this gelato shop, and I had pistachio and a double espresso, which something I never have. I had brown sugar inside in it. Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I had to sit down. That's how nice it was. I had to sit down. I couldn't do it standing up.
Were you not sitting down already? It was a standing affair.
It was a hatch in the wall. It was a hole in the wall. And we stuck our head in, myself and herself. And we ordered, she got pistachio or something else, and I got pistachio. And I had to sit down, though. I had to find a ledge to sit down, because it was, you couldn't walk and talk and eat with this thing.
I love that kind of experience. Go on, tell me more.
We made it. Yeah, where else? Oh yeah, almost got arrested in Venice for wearing luchador masks the following day. We walked down along and started singing luchador. You know, the wrestlers, the Mexican wrestlers. It didn't make any sense that we would be in Venice, Italy, wearing
one of those masks.
But both of us, no, my wife put on one as well, and the two of us started singing along with the lads that were down along. You know, the lads going down along in the gondolas.
Yes.
We decided to sing along with one while walking along, and the police weren't overly happy with two masked people walking down at it.
Oh, the masks, maybe. Can I ask you, where did you buy those masks?
They were Mexico. Would you believe it? They were really good ones, and we can't in the last move. We can't find what drawer,
No.
where the fuck they are. I was El Bero. She was La Flama Blanca. Because it was white and yellow. But it was my mother-in-law, not our mother-in-law. That'd make a really weird relationship. But my mother-in-law had been in Mexico. And the one thing I said, she goes, "What did I bring you back?" She brought back. I'm pretty sure cocaine-filled chocolate, because I did more fucking hoovering when I took I swear to God, it was full of speed or something. I just started cleaning walls and stuff after taking a lump of this chocolate with the mask on.
I thought you were going to say that like the cocaine like burst out of the bar chocolate, and that's why you were hoovering it up.
No, there was something in this chocolate. It was this Aztec chocolate. If anybody ever goes there, it's this Aztec style chocolate, and it's in a round disc, and their version of chocolate, and it is not our version of chocolate.
No.
Because by the time it gets to us, it's been cut more fucking times than a cheap drug dealer's fucking kitchen table. Like this, they have straight from El Planto into El Choco. You're getting semi-illegal shit is what you're getting. It's that good.
Jesus.
I'm guessing had I tested afterwards, I would have tested for something illegal. It was that fucking good.
Come here. I need a lucha libre mask for a fancy dress party at a sevens tournament in the summer.
Yeah, the best of the best was Mexico. Like it fitted really well. You could taper it in around the head. That was just, but I mean, I guess you can get them anywhere, but make sure spend more than the €5 that you're going to spend. Like get the €15 one or get the €20 one at least, because it'll just look class on your head. Like these looked fucking class, like proper wrestling masks, like, and comfortable as hell. I mean, kept on putting them on in places. Oh yeah, sorry, I had the yoke around my head and I was wearing the luchador mask on the catwalk in Milan that time.
Stunning.
Yeah, so that was my ice cream story. I know we're dancing around the fact of not getting onto the rugby.
We'll get into it now.
We may as well get into it.
Did you watch it?
I did. I wasn't as, do you know what? I wasn't as disheartened because there was fantastic gusto in our girls. Now, to let people in on the secret, it was 53-3. But to me, it seems like there's like one or two elements that are missing, like big ball carriers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing true that has been true since the beginning of time in men's rugby and women's rugby. You need big arses on people in the front row. You need people who are big enough to fucking monsters. You need at least two of them. And we don't have anybody busting over that line. Like, unfortunately, we've all really fit athletes. But not to say that you wouldn't be fit, but you look at Tyg Furlong, like when he hits, somebody goes backwards. You look at, there was a girl for England, Byrne is her name, actually. Sarah Byrne. Like, she doesn't know, she can move like a fucking back. But at the same time, when she hits, somebody goes backwards. Like,
she's like a bowling ball, like
phenomenal. Phenomenal, like when you just, you know what I mean? And it seemed to be that little, like on the surface, you go, we're just not as good as them. But I was kind of looking, going, no, with some really good athletes, but nobody who can bust the line. Just give it that one bust that'll send everybody back, even 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being overly trying to be optimistic on the thing, but it seemed to me.
No, I was optimistic about it in a lot of ways. Obviously, look, it's a fucking loss. You don't want to be like disrespectful in terms of like, oh well, fair play to them. Didn't they do their best?
Yes,
but
yeah.
Fuck it, like it was an improvement from the week before, because I just thought there were some much better individual performances. Tucker Moore did really well. Derv did really well. There was a few others, and I know that like Dan O'Brien starting at 10. She was very
interesting.
Young,
yeah.
Very, doesn't have experience, but like considering all things considered, she did well. I know there were errors, but of course there's going to be errors. The thing about France is they were just able to punish us so quickly that the score just like racked up without it feeling like it should have been. So I was watching it like on my phone, on my lap, while I was at the other games. And when I saw the red card, and like I had kind of one eye on it, and when I saw the red card, I was like, Jesus, is this going to be, and I didn't think, I wasn't, even though the thoughts of winning do creep in, I'm like, Jesus, could they fucking win this? But what I was thinking was, I think that this could be the day where they like come really close, or closer than people expected, with the red card. Bourdon missed 2 conversions early on, which is so unlike her, and that's 4 points gone a begging there. And then like 20 minutes in, and Ireland were hammering away, but the thing is, we just weren't getting anywhere.
Yes.
And like to have France play with 14 players for 60 minutes and still put up that kind of score, they're class. It was, they'd certainly played better than they did against Italy the week before. The red card kind of made them, like, they're looking for kind of adversity like that. I know we were talking about how good it was that like Ireland was able to stand up to adversity and like find themselves in when challenges arise. Like France will have thrived off that as well and been really enjoying the fact that they were still able to put so many points on another Six Nations team with just 14 players. And like, they are gung-ho heading for the showdown. The last fixture of the Six Nations, and the Six Nations showdown, will be France versus England and I reckon it's going to be I think it's going to be sold out. Twickenham Stadium, last game of the tournament. Now, a lot of people are saying that Wales could pip France, but I don't think so. I think it's going to come down to the Grand Slam showdown in Twickenham in front of a fucking near enough sold out crowd. So coming to Cork, they weren't going to lose it. They're looking to improve in every way to be the best team. Like, they nearly got to the final. They could have played in the World Cup final. I don't know, do you remember that? Their kicker missed a penalty. Jesus, like, they could have played in the World Cup final versus Ireland, who did not go to the World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to be true. I'm all for youthful exuberance, but I mean, there's a lot of inexperience in the Irish team. Like, and they're not getting exposed to international rugby. Like, it's a different kettle of fish than the AIL. There's just no two ways about it. Like, it's, and they have their interpros and stuff, but really it's AIL is their bread and butter. Like, and you've got young women like and you come up against seasoned pros. That's the reality. You're coming up against seasoned pros in France who have played a lot at the cold face of international fucking rugby.
Yeah.
You could see it. They weren't at 6s and 7s, but they were. They just couldn't, as you said, they just couldn't find a way to bust that line. Like,
yeah, and like, they made meters at times, but it was coming at a cost of getting disconnected from everyone else. Like, someone would, like, it seemed as if like the ruck was kind of slow at times when they were like building momentum, and then they'd be like, oh fuck, what do we do next? And then someone would pop off on their own because they weren't sure what was coming next, it seemed. And like, often they made meters, but then the others were scrambling to kind of catch up, and they had a lot of turnovers from that as well. So that's all linking up. That stuff will come. I know it's shit because we have to say, like, that'll come when you're in the middle of the Six Nations tournament.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating because we've so much coverage, people covering the game. There's so many unbelievable like TikTok accounts and Instagram coverage and social media platforms that like weren't available to the men at the same stage of their professional development. So like, we've something really cool here to use. I just wish that we were in a better place as a team. And I'm saying team as if I'm referring to the girls. I'm not referring to the girls. I'm referring to like the systematic failure of the RFU for however many fucking years. So I felt so sorry for Nicola Friday. I'm sure you saw her interview.
I did. Yeah.
I've never really seen her like that. And I just was like, I was so angry. I was like, it's not fair because like, she's under so much pressure, because usually what you have is like, and go back to your point, like about the young players, when a young player comes in, she should be surrounded by senior players to lift her up. But it's senior players that are surrounded by young, inexperienced, fresh, naive players through no fault of their own. Like, they're brilliant players, but they don't have opportunities to get to the level they should before coming into a senior squad, and then being surrounded by others who've been there for long enough time. Like, so they're doing everything they can, Jesus. And like, they're not going to for a second be like, oh, poor us, like, you know, we it's all the fault of the RFU. They know they missed tackles that they shouldn't be missing. They fucking know that, and they're not for a second going to shy away from that. So they know they're going to fucking work on that, and that stuff will come. And like, I feel like they could have a win in them. That might be overly optimistic, but it's how I feel, and it's how I felt when I watched back the match. At 20 minutes in, Ireland were fucking hammering, and it was like, what was it, 10-3?
Yeah.
And France had a red card, and Ireland were like picking up and like purple patch. I hate that saying, purple patch. I know. I don't know where the fuck it came from, and I hate when commentators use it.
Doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you talking about?
It doesn't make any sense. It's taken me so long to understand that a purple patch isn't a negative thing. It's a positive thing when you're going forward. Yeah. Anyway, purple patch or whatever.
I just think of a bruise. Did somebody get a bruise on it? Because just think of a purple patch being a bruise somewhere on your body.
Yeah. Or like, kind of like when you see red. Like but I feel like in a negative way, and then like you don't know what the fuck's going on, where you're like, oh shit, like that's what I feel.
And I cannot stand the abbreviation of defense to our D. I'm like, I can't stand this, because everybody goes, yeah, our D was really good today. It's like, no, how are you hearing yourself? Listen to what you're actually saying. Yeah, honest to God, big D on us today. It's like, oh my God.
I'm guilty of that.
I know you are, but at least.
Why do I say it? Do I?
You have said it in the past. You have described it as D. But look, I'm the hurler on the ditch here. You know what I mean?
You're like one of those people who laughs when someone says they're a hooker.
No, not anymore. No, not in a long time. No, it's the D. It's always been defense or defense, if you want to get real American about it. But the D, it's because the D was always known as the dig. And it was like, I cannot stand there as fuck. Josh van der Fleer is going, yeah, our D was really big today. You know, we bigged up our D. I'm like, oh, no. We can get as far as saying defense. It's not that big of a word.
Come on, Thomas, you have to.
I'm a child. I'm a child. And also the word defense isn't that hard to say either. Like, you know, it's just, I get it. It's abbreviated for high-end people and whatnot, but it's purple patch. Getting back to it. You're 100% right. I do.
Sorry, to finish that point and then float in with everything. What I felt was 20 minutes in, when I was watching it back for the second time, I couldn't believe the final scoreline.
Yes. Yeah. Much like our beloved Munster at the weekend, as I said, the Heat got to the boys. They went in 3 points down and ended up shipping 50 at the end of it.
Yeah,
I was
tuning in on that as well, but I was conscious to save my battery, so I watched a bit of the first half, and then I turned on the second half. And when the score started to come in, I was like, right, I'll just throw on the last few minutes so I can see how it closes out. Like, basically, I'll see how Munster win this. For fucking hell.
I know. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Very sad, isn't it? Tell me more. What else happened?
Before we move on to that, I just want to ask your opinion. I know we've talked. I suppose we've talked ad nauseum. We can about the dereliction that is the women's game, and I do think that now there's been a spotlight on it. I mean, it's not like we're Wales where the shit all hit the fan in every fucking direction. IRFU is a very, very successful company, and that's what it is. It's a very successful property company. It's a very successful management company. It's a very successful company. Just doesn't make sense, and we talked about this, that they've allowed a huge facet of their side of their game fall off a fucking cliff. But I do think they will hold themselves accountable. They have the funds to hold themselves accountable. I do hope they will at the very least, but they did seem to turn their back. I don't know why they would. Well, I suppose they seem to turn their shoulder away from the 15s and turn to the 7s, because now you've players like Amy Lee and you've Bevan Parsons. I mean, I know they're not big busters, right? They're front row busters, and it's mostly backs playing the 7, and they're flying it. They'll probably make the Olympics. I mean, with those girls back, is it that our player pool just can't survive fighting on two fronts, you know, with the 7s and the 15, or what the hell is it?
Yeah, I think I've talked a lot about this as well in like different. Sorry, I've been doing loads of podcasts.
Cheating on the podcast, that's fine. I get it. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm repeating myself or not, but yeah, the 7s, 15s thing is interesting, and like the money has been available for the 7s for so long because it comes from the Olympic Council.
Yes, of course.
Olympic sport. Yeah. So for me, like that's just the IRFU decided to prioritize it. It's easier because you need fewer players. You get money from the Olympic Council. So if for whatever reason they just chose to prioritize it, the problem with that meant that anyone who comes in that's offered a contract, the contract is only available for 7s. So of course those players are going to play 7s. And so I'd absolutely never begrudge those players those opportunities because they have to take that. And like the opportunity to play in the Olympics, Jesus, like that's massive. So the fact that I've been really happy that they've decided to separate the two for this Six Nations because first of all, the 7s have to qualify for the Olympics. Like they have to focus on that. And the other thing is that, if you have, let's say you're a player for Ireland in the back line. I know I've been through this. There's players in the back line and you might start your first 2 Six Nations games and then a 7s player will come in and she'll start ahead of you. So you already, like you've kind of, the journey that the team is on, the 15s girls now, like they'll have learned so much in those last 2 weeks. If you bring in players to replace others, it's almost a message to say, well, look, you weren't good enough anyway.
Right,
or,
yes, yeah.
We didn't trust you anyway. Or like I've been there before as well when a coach has said like, players have come in across from 7s and like the coach will have said, we've been on this journey together, and they refer to like, and the journey is really important of like where you start or where you go, and jeepers, like players have to come in and out of that due to injuries and due to things like that. But when you come in just because you're available, it undermines that journey.
Of course, yeah. So essentially what you're saying is we have to forget the girls in 7s while thinking about 15s, unfortunately. Like it's just two different sports. Like,
but it made me feel really like I was really happy when like Briggsy was asked about this. The journalists like love asking about this because the 7s girls are so good. Like they're a huge loss to 15s, but like nobody else is managing it the same way that Ireland does. Like they bring players in and out, and it's just really hard to kind of get a foothold on either front. And I just want to see the 7s girls like fully focused on that goal of qualifying for the Olympics now, because they're so close.
Yes.
But Briggsy was asked about this, at the start of the tournament, and they were like, "Oh, will you miss the 7s or blah blah blah?" And she was like, "No, I'm happy with the squad we have." That's a huge message to those players, young and old, and like you can't kind of take away the value from that. And it's funny now that after we've lost those 2 games in the manner we have, people are asking like, "Oh, is it worth bringing back in the 7s?" What good would that do to this team down the line?
Yeah. I hear you.
We almost have to throw this Six Nations away. We've kind of already, in some ways, are like now just looking to avoid like the bottom place. But like, where will we be in a year's time if we continue with the squad? This same squad, let's continue to use them, because the up and downs and in and outs with 7s hasn't worked. It hasn't worked, and like it's a shame because we lose amazing players to 7s. Or now going forward, like let's see what contracts like 15s players are being offered. Up to now, if you're being offered a contract, it was only in 7s, but now players might have the opportunity to stay in 15s and like make it work there. Like, so yeah, if that kind of answers your question. Like I know personally a few years ago, Adam Griggs, our coach at the time, said to us that it was at the start of the Six Nations, and he said to us like, I've been offered the 7s players, and I told the director like, no thank you, I've got everything I need in this room right here.
Wow.
And that for me is still one of the biggest moments. Like I can't believe that I just said that without actually getting choked up, because I anytime I've spoken about that has been very emotional. I remember looking at Fiona Reedy and she looked back at me and she winked at me and I couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it that we were being, this 15 squad was being like trusted.
Yes.
And that's not like, sure, we know how good the Sevens girls are. It's got nothing to do with how good that they are, like that we need them or not, but it was that we were being fully trusted. And that's what this management is doing with this squad here. Don't care about the scoreline. They're telling them, I trust you to play this game and get better, and we're on this journey together. That's massive.
Well, that I mean, only from that can fruit, bear fruit. Good fruit can bear from something like that, because realistically, that makes perfect sense what you're saying. So if they're doubling down on the girls they have, going, all right, it is what it is. Let's fucking knuckle down. We know we made a bollocks of ourselves with some of our tackles. We know we need to train hard. I mean, I'd still have an optimistic glass half full going, no, this is a good thing that we're all now a light has been shone on it. There's talks too. There's which, I mean, I was amazed that it wasn't done before, but proper scouts going around to the clubs. Do you know what I mean? Proper full-time scouts. And now, apparently, they're doing it. Now, it's which is amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but they were slow off the mark with the men's 3 years too. They were like, all right, sure, we'll know who we know now, and that's all we know. This is now I'm going back to the early 2000s, like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like, no, just look at what soccer's doing, for Christ's sake. Just copy what they're doing when it comes to recruiting youngsters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is, but in that, I'm still hopeful given what I saw. Their maul defense, I like their maul defense. They were able to dig in nicely against big women. Like, there were some big and well-structured women with an absolute bastard of a scrum. Like, she must be Antoinette Dupont. She was class. Like, she was everywhere, the fucker. She was everywhere. And like a bullet in every direction. It was like, okay.
Bourdon, is it?
Bourdon, yeah. I was just calling her Antoinette.
Terrier. She's some little terrier. I hated playing against her. She was like, she'd come after you. Like,
wiry bastard too, like she looked as hard as nails. Like, she looked like a wiry fucker. Like, she went after everybody, like.
And she plays with her hair down as well. Like, I know it's flat in the front, but like she's but like if they won a penalty, she'd come after you to get the ball off you, making sure she'd like punch you in the ribs. Like, she was terror.
Yeah, she was ratty enough too. I like to see that though. I like to see it.
Me too. I put respect for her.
Yeah, not playing against it, says you, but at the same time, it's nice to see a bit of rattiness, small bit of fucking, even, if you've racked up 50 points, you're still being a ratty bastard around the place. I like to see that.
Yeah.
To answer your question on much like the Ireland women's team, the Munster demise in the second half was Munster. I think they were fucked from the heat. They hadn't had a couple of games together in a while. A couple of people back and whatnot. These are excuses, by the way. I'm actually just laying out excuses.
No,
here.
of course, yeah.
But it was the power game. It was the power game over the ruck. They were so aggressive. South Africans can be so aggressive, and how the Irish didn't see that coming. How the boys didn't, like. We had Munster had something like 26 offloads in the match previous to Glasgow. And so it was going in the right direction. You're like, yes, who needs to ruck? Let's just keep offloading this motherfucking thing with the backs we have. Few shining lights, like Jack Crowley looked very good. Calvin Nash, ready to walk into an Ireland team. That boy has a step. And I mean, a powerful step too. Like, just like he springs off and he's gone 5 meters in the other direction. RG Snyman, couple of superstar moments. You can see the engine is starting to fire up. He's probably only at about 40%. But it was the big power game when you got big bastards. Ebenezabeth, no, I know he went off at the halftime. But a lot of damage. Like, you're throwing a 21 stone man who's got the biggest arms in world rugby, like, just smashing you, and has a penchant for wanting to put people in the hospital, like. And you got Sia Khaleesi as well. And Mapimpi, who I love saying his name. I hated him getting the ball, but every time he said it, it was a Mapimpi. I love saying it.
I know.
And just like that, in these all of a sudden shock moments, not continuous, just like Ireland, not continuous, these amazing shock moments. Bang, try, bang, try. What the fuck? Yeah. Bang, bang, try. You're like, what the fuck? I mean, they pushed on and got a bonus point in the end for all. It was only a Maria fucking prize at the end of it, like 35. They closed
Sure,
it
what
out. Like,
use is a bonus
I,
point in a knockout game.
but at least they showed some bit of guts to go after it. But a lot more cuteness at the ruck time should have been implemented. Like, they were not cute at all. They were allowing themselves to be just driven backwards that foot or two, that half meter, and that was enough to open it up. And that seems to be what happened. And until Munster gets some tanks, it's just quite simple. It's been said for a couple of years, until they get a couple of absolute fucking Georgian bears, because those are the only ones they'll be able to get their hands on. Because if they don't end up in Europe next year, nobody's going to want to come there. So they're going to have to either go down to Argentina or go over to Georgia and find those square-shaped men. You know, those men that come out of the womb square. Those people who are just a different breed, or go to Kazakhstan, find some freaks for about 300 quid a month or something cheap, who just monsters. That's all they can find. Is they're going to have to find gold nuggets at this stage. They screwed up. They could have had a player, Ollie Jaeger was his name. He's an Irish player, went to Nice. They almost had him last year and they let him through their fingers because he was playing with the Crusaders. Went over, I don't know, was he fucking hurling or something? But he went over to play with a rugby, ended up making it up through the ranks, a couple of injuries, bit of luck, and starting at hooker for the Crusaders, and now is in the All Black squad. An Irish guy. Yeah. And Munster they should have had him.
Yeah, I was reading about him. I didn't know his name was Ollie Jaeger. I've read about him. I'd say, for fuck's sake.
For fuck's sake. But you can't put the shit back in the horses, the man says. They need to, I know it's disgusting, isn't it? I mean, so Roman Salano, he dropped out early, big loss, because he does have that Hawaiian strength, that Polynesian strength. Raw only took up rugby when he moved to Ireland, I think, or when he was 19 or 20. So, but I think the only way they're going to get it is when you look at how, like, Leinster were destroying the Ulster fucking scrum.
But
I mean, fucking
funny
drilling it, like.
But it's definitely a systematic thing as well.
Yeah.
You know,
we're not feeding our youngsters enough.
But I was reading that. Yeah, I was reading. What's your man's the Leinster coach? He was saying that, like,
Leo
Lancaster.
Yeah.
That it's got nothing to do with, like, the system. It's because the coaching is really good. And someone
about his own I'm really good. Is that what he was saying?
Underneath a meme from Father Ted, you know, your man is reading on the plane and he's like, I think I should get the parachute because I'm great. In fact, I think I should get both of them in case one of them doesn't work.
Yeah, Stu, yeah. Let's see how you fare when you go to this wrestling and you have a bunch of mercenaries playing for you and you don't have a production line. Lads literally sitting on a conveyor belt just flopping off the end, being pro athletes. Jesus, the starting wage for a coach in St. Mary's is 80,000 a year.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Have you thought about coaching schools rugby, Anna Caplice?
I did in Munster, but they don't pay you in Munster. Well, they don't pay the women anyway.
I tell you, it's starting 80,000 player.
No, I don't believe that. Sorry, no.
Oh, I can.
Was that advertised?
No, but I've heard through somebody who was offered the job.
Grapevine.
Yeah.
Christ.
So but they have nutritionists, sports psychologists.
I know. They don't have that in the Munster schools.
No, they don't have it in the Munster schools. The money isn't there. Like,
I'm saying, it's because of the coaching. It's because of the system. Like, stop and, like, don't try to take away from what Munster are trying to do. Like, when I coached in Crescent and a junior cup, like, they'd go up to, like, play at all of the Dublin schools and, like, warm-up games, all cricket scores, like, they're miles and miles ahead. I don't know how it is now, but that was in 2017-18, so, like, they were that far ahead then.
Yeah. And it's only bigger divide. It's because you look at schools like let's say Black Rock, starting price is in or around the 20 grand a year mark. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have massive sponsorship coming in then as well. Like, so they're just lining up to get their kids in there, like, you know, because sports programs are so good. But and this that bottom line, people, I don't care. In life, take this away. Unfortunately, money. And I hate the stuff, but money is the one thing that drives everything. You can have the greatest heart in the world. You can have Rudy from fucking Notre Dame. You can go, we're going to win it. But trust me, if they can pay for a fucking sports psychologist for you, you can have all the heart in the world. But when you're at that level, do you know what I mean? These kids.
I was listening to but like it reminds me of, like, do you know the video of all the lads on the piss after the Six Nations, and they pull up to this gorgeous house, who it's like Gary Ringrose's parents' house or whatever. That's just so typical of the demographic.
Yeah.
That rugby is available to at the high level. Like, and you know, I was telling you before about I was working in the foundation and Harlequins, and the foundation and Harlequins like targets like minority groups to give them the opportunity to play rugby. That needs to be done as well, definitely, but also like just the opportunities that are available to like people with money, like
with houses like that. I
was watching it's some comedian, I don't even know what her name was. It's very funny. She was like saying about business class. That they don't, business class on an airplane, they don't do a safety demonstration. They just hand you a glass of champagne and they say, here you go, your money will save you.
It is, unfortunately.
That is. How do we get money? I'd love to be filthy rich so I could buy a women's league.
That'd be amazing. We need a sugar company. Sugar daddy is the wrong word, but they do use it. They use it in France. They actually use it openly to go, yeah, we have a sugar daddy. And because all the French clubs have sugar daddies, fellas who are, I mean, they say, you know, they're just throwing them. I think they're probably hiding a lot of tax, because it would seem every French business is crooked as fuck, which I love. I love crooked businesses. I fucking love to hear it. You're trying to hide tax, lads. You're trying to funnel money through. Fair play to you.
But I don't mind it if they're putting it into something like rugby, but if they're like,
the
yachts,
exactly. If they're Duck McScrooge and they're just diving into it in the morning and rolling around it, then fuck off. But if they're funding things, it would be amazing. I know, I'd be interested to see Eddie Hearn had said something interesting. I only saw a clip of him. He was on another podcast, and they said, "Well, why?" I
saw it with that fucking toenail, James Haskell.
Yeah. That's a great phrase, a toenail. But it was a genuine question. They asked him because he's a businessman. Like, they asked him, like I talked about MMA with Dana White. He spotted him a gap in the market. He went, why aren't we can make the women as big as the men here. You know what I mean?
I was like, who's MMA?
Nana Police over there. Nana Police. Who knows? Who's this MMA guy?
Who's that? Is it the Maze from Mallow?
But he said, he goes, he says, why isn't rugby bigger? How do we make, but he says, there's no characters. There's nobody. He says, I couldn't name you 6 fucking players, and I'm from England. Like, I don't know. Like, you have to individualize, and you need, unfortunately, it's what the Americans do when it comes to American football.
No, I don't want rugby going like that.
I get it. And you don't need, it does annoy me seeing shit like cheerleaders and stuff like that. That biles my piss, as a man up the road says.
Agreed. I agree with that. But it's not just characters, because characters like are allowed to be themselves, but it's characters who talk shit. That's what he's looking for. Like, people who talk shit.
But at the same time, you could, like, you take somebody like what's his name, Nick Cummins. Like, they smartly threw a blanket around him. Fine rugby player, not the greatest that ever played but probably now one of the highest earning ex-players, because he would give these unbelievably Australian, after they just go over to him, even if he barely fucking played. They go, Nick, how'd you get on? Oh, mate, she was as tough as wood pickle lips. And you're like, of course, this is perfect. Can we get more of this, please, Nick? Do you know, coming out with shit? Just went hit out of a biscuit and went flying. Like, I'm not saying everybody has to be that guy, but
no, but it was valuable for him.
I think allow a platform where, say, Tyke Furlong comes out with some absolute, he knows he's coming out with these zingers, but don't have it on a fucking phone over a table or a Zoom call. Look at how you build in interesting stories around things. Like, you know what I mean? Let's
Yeah.
let's hear the story of how 5'1" Craig Casey fought his way up through the ranks to get to, you know,
Yeah.
this shit needs to be created, and then let it filter into the women. Like, you know, this
Yeah, but women's rugby has it already. Women's rugby is good at it because there's less media trained players and there's more like really fucking smart content creators that are like, I'd say I sent you a few of her things. There's one called Sam Love Rugby. She
Yes.
is gas, like, and she gets the best out of players, and like so many content creators that are like, fuck it, let's do you know, different kinds of interviews, and like the girls are less media trained. Like, did you see Ruby Tui at the World Cup?
No. Oh yes, yeah, my God,
She
yeah.
started a sing song. I've never seen the likes of it in my life. Like,
She would go
started
through a fucking wall for her. Sure, Jesus Christ! As soon as she started that sing song, I was like, here. I'm
Yeah.
off.
The whole stadium
Yeah.
joined in. I don't know what song would be like an Irish equivalent, something like Molly Malone or something like that, where everyone like, you know, like sings back or whatever. But it was just class, and like they love her. But I'd say they're a bit scared of her as well, like about how much power she could have, because that's like, fucking, that's the story of it. But come here, that's for another day. Will we touch on the other?
Yes. So Scotland played Wales. A hum fucking dinger of a match. I watched the extended 20 minutes highlights.
Yeah.
And I was raging I didn't get to see the whole match. An absolute humdinger, like proper Six Nations match. What do you and I love it. The Scottish men don't seem to do it. They must be, I don't know, getting to the sun, or well, of course, Duan van der Merwe has a tan all year round. But I love that sports players nowadays, men and women, they tend to have a bit of a, I don't know, are they sunbedding, or they tend to just look like they've been out in a fair bit in the sun. But whatever part of Scotland the Scottish women have been training, it's been behind a mountain, under a tree, with the coat on. I love it. I love that they were pure born Banya running around. Like, they look so white in comparison to Irish players. And they look the whitest rugby players I've seen in years.
But the Welsh girls would wear tan, a lot of them.
But sure, the Welsh fellas who wear tan too. Like, we know what they're into. Like, you know, they're all into tan and doing their hair and shit. But no, even, I don't know, they just didn't, I'm not saying the Irish players are tanning around, but they have a hue to them of somebody who has seen sun once. But the Scottish girls, whatever the fuck it was, they just seemed Snow White. They actually notably Snow White. It was brilliant. I loved it. I was like, class, you're training in a barn or something. I love it.
That's so funny. I thought you were going to say that they looked like they had tan on, because most people wear tan.
Yeah, of course. But the Scottish ones had Nilane tan a gut. They had fucking nothing. I love it that they were just going, all right, well, fucking you have to play. That's it. Just not bothering with. Maybe they just had a ban on tan. Who knows? Maybe it was a thing.
Ban on tea. Yeah, I know. And I actually, Wales. I think Wales deserved it actually to push it out towards the end. I thought they were very good, and like Cecilia got player of the match again. So a lot of people ask me about like fucking fantasy rugby. Like, if Cecilia's not on your team, I don't know what you're at.
Oh my god! Like, every time, even when she was going for the latch, this is Tui Pilato. Even when she was going for the latch, you're like, that's who I would want. That's who I would want. If I'm about to pick the ball, that's the woman I want smashing in behind me like a fucking truck. Because it's not just the weight, it's the sheer strength. Because she's about to play handball off it. Mother of God, she's unbelievable. And like, even her try, she got the opening try, I think. She did get the opener. And she had a bit to do. But mother of Jesus, the poor woman that was in front of her just got sent into orbit nearly.
Yes, yeah. But she does that at Gloucester as well. Like, we had a call last year where, like, a penalty move where it was literally just designed to get the ball to her so she could like all over the line.
I love that. Get it to the ox. Just this like American football move or something. Just like, fucking get
everyone else, get out of the fucking way. And she
just follow me.
Yeah, so she's learned that from club as well. Like, she does it really well. Like, she's able to drop her height but keep like going forward. But it was, I was looking at the score there, 34-22 in the end.
It pulled away in the last few minutes, but in all fairness, it was there was like 8 minutes to go and there was only a couple of points in it. Like, and it was value for that. Like, you were like, yeah. And it wasn't that it was a bunch of fucking penalties from Scotland. They were scoring tries too. I think size might have done him in the end. Again, if talk about the power game, I think it may have done him in the end. It would seem the last couple of tries were close in. The damage was done close in by this big strong units, like, which seemed to open it up a small bit. But I mean, at that stage, you know, that you're done, and there's no coming back from it at that stage. Once you stretch out to the 10, you know, they were what were they 9 or 7 points, and then it just Wales definitely were value for they've deserved the win, I think, as you said. But like, it's Scotland, they look class. They had
go on.
I won't say I was so surprised. I was surprised. I thought Wales were probably going to pull away in the second half, but they never got away from them. Like, you know,
Scotland they've lost so many games in the last like 10 minutes where they've been ahead or they've been in touch to win and they just don't. So they really need to, they know this, they're working on this, they're trying to change that trend as a team. So they'll be fucking fuming at that result that it got away from them again in the last few minutes, and Wales will be delighted because that was tough going. So both those teams have good kind of weathered well now, coming into the next few rounds.
That's a savage game to have if you were going on to the next game. That's a savage. Like, that was a battle from minute one. That was a fucking battle. Like, nobody was running away with it. That to fight for every last thing. So, you know, going into it, that's a great hardener. Like, a couple of drinks afterwards. Like, even the people you wouldn't have been familiar with, you're a good buddy with after a match like that, because I was looking around, there was busted mouths, there was cut cheeks. You know, it looked like they'd gone through
they would have taken the heads off each other for sure. Like, I'd say they can't stand each other. Not a lot of them play together in the same clubs, because a lot of them kind of a lot of them, like a lot of Welshies at Gloucester, a lot of Scots at Loughborough, like there's not too much kind of crossover, but geez, they'd have been taking the heads off each other for sure. And then England absolutely hockeyed Italy in a kind of a similar kind of way to Ireland versus France. Like, it was a record score for England, and like England are just like gung-ho again, going for this. They're going for the Grand Slam for sure.
Oh yeah,
obviously, like they never would have thought any differently, but like the fact that all of the kind of blips along the way are just these other teams that just need to annihilate, and then when they get to France, they need to be on top form. So there's lifting the foot from the throat. Like, it is just relentless.
That's what I saw. I just saw, oh my God, you're a fucking nightmare. You would be a nightmare in a fight. You'd be a nightmare in any kind of, like, that attitude where all of them were like, every try was like the first fucking try. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're just, there's no letting, you're unbelievably well coached anyway. Your heads are absolutely in the right place, because they were at one stage, I think they were 50 something. I'm thinking, oh sure, I'll turn it off. Oh no, Jesus, they're driving on again. They got themselves to 68 or something. Like, Jesus, just a hunger, the nasty hunger to get that. Like, I mean, I say you get it to the backs. Like, their two wingers and fullback were rockets when they came onto the ball, but they're fucking that Sarah Byrne. Mother, what's the deal there? Like, how is she so quick?
I know.
Like, how is
the
confidence to be standing at second center, like, and not break, you know. Often you'll get one of the big old lumps out there and they just ship it on quick. That's just, I'm here just to ship it on. Don't worry, I will not break the momentum. There's no breaking momentum with her. She actually puts pace to it. Like, now she'll have a fast 15 meters and that's it. But incredible. Like, heaven forbid, if you were a light little scrum half or something you got in front of her, she's going to fucking mow you down. And set of hands too. Like, she linked. There was 2 tries. I was like, I sat back, kind of give a mini clap. I'm like, my Jesus. She was the link that, you know, and held the players in and then released it out to the wingers. It was like, on both sides.
Yeah.
Impressive. There's an O'Donnell as well playing, which annoys me when I see hear Irish names showing up, and but you can't. Jesus Christ, you couldn't blame him even if you were from Ireland and they wanted to sign you.
No, they're all English. They're all
Of course,
English.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
all Irish. Kath O'Donnell, yeah. I know, and there's a new cap, Delaney Burns, I think, as well. Yeah, but sure, they might, they might give up the English team to come and play for Ireland.
Well, I mean, yeah, the IP that they'd bring back from that, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening unless you're getting very nostalgic and you want to do something for your mammy. Maybe. After you win the World Cup or something, like maybe. But Jesus, I don't know.
I was offered, not offered an English contract, but offered to come to England camp a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Was there any kind of
Not for a second. It's so weird.
Yeah.
About it a lot because I don't really know. Like, it was just such a fleeting moment of like not a hope. So what the kind of whole conversation around Ben Healy and stuff, that's obviously different because he has Scottish heritage, whereas I don't, and I hadn't at that stage. The thing was, at the time, I was playing really well for Richmond, and Ireland were just not interested. And everyone, like, it was going on for quite a while now. So people had a word with the English coach, like, cap her quick before Ireland get her. And I was invited in. I didn't want to talk to him at all. He'd come to a few games. What's his name? Blaze was the forwards coach for England. He'd come to a few games and had asked to speak to me, and I was laughing. I was like, not a hope, like. And then just happened to be standing next to him one day in the thing, and it was actually my sponsor, Simon Gasman. He was like, Anna, this is so-and-so, and I had a chat with him, and he was like, look, come into English camp, like, we'd love to have you, like, I could see you as something at the World Cup, like his kind of plan. He seemed to have some plan made out for me to play for England at the World Cup. And I was like, oh yeah, it was very interesting to hear, but like not for a second did I consider it. And like went back and told my family, and I was like, how hilarious is this? And they were like, well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I was like, what? I can't believe you're saying that. Now, cool, like imagine being able to play full-time professional rugby, like the absolute dream, but there's no way I could have
looking down at that jersey,
stood on a pitch, whatever about the jersey, you could almost like just put it on and play, but standing on a pitch, standing for God Save the Queen, and then having to listen to the Irish national anthems, like, not a fucking joke.
Oh no, yeah.
As shit as things have been, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh, that's a class story. That's class. And did Ireland come? Sorry, we were just having dinner there. Anna, we'd love to see you in shortly afterwards.
I'd been capped for sevens at that stage. I was brought in by Tom Tierney to camp then in 2015, I think. So it took a while still. Yeah.
They knew your loyalty. But you know what? Do you know what? We haven't done the dog, and we've tore the arse out of it most days. I think that caps off a great podcast, actually. A lovely story like that in your national. And by the way, if anybody wants to join Anna's new branch of Sinn Féin, she'll be starting it soon because, of course, she hates English people. Just saying it. She doesn't, of course. She doesn't. I think that was a lovely podcast. I really enjoyed that one. Now we weren't too down. We weren't down to. We were sad last week. We weren't too sad this week. We were upbeat, and I think we tried to look at the positives as well as we did properly look at the full Six Nations that has gone on. Have we a fallow week next week? I think we do. Sure, 'tis Semana Santa. It is Semana Santa. It's Eat Your Easter Eggs weekend. Yay! Good Friday. How many masses are you going to go to? So you. I've about 4 lined up, and I might take 5 or 6. Lovely. Love a good mass. There's nothing to be said. Is there anything to be said for a good mass? Come here, I'm starving. I must go and eat something. I'm about to keel over. Me too. But yes. Farewell to everyone, and enjoy your weekend off. And I was about to ask you what you're going to do for it, but you can fill me in next week because we won't have any rugby to talk about, only previews. And just talking about chocolate and all the rest of it. So thank you all very, very much. Hit subscribe if you are listening on whatever platform you're listening on. Most definitely, it's most likely Spotify these days. Hit the bell as well there's a little bell that people often forget to hit. Hit that so that every time a brand new podcast comes up, it will pop up in your phone. If you can't hit the 5 stars, that's all that's any use to us. Any less than that, sure, myself and Anna don't know what to do with them. There's no use to us. So 5 stars, please. And else you're listening on, if you can leave a comment like on Apple Podcasts, that'd be great. And, follow Anna Caplice, Banana Capeless, or Tom O'Mahony Comedy, if you want to, on any of the usual platforms, and let us know what you're thinking. Some lovely notes have come in. People are very much enjoying the podcast. I got a right kick out of the one that you gave us last week about the little youngster and stuff going off to our dulcet Irish tones. Well, Ihawa, child.
Ihawa, Orla.
Lenav Orla. Ihawa, Anna. Enjoy your Easter eggs and your many, many masses. I'm assuming you will be Sister Anna by the time I see you next week, because they love a good mass in Spain. They love a good mass. And they the biggest mass of the year coming up over the weekend. So, right, you mind yourself.
You too. Slán
It's the Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.